the ratio of chickens to ducks was like 20 to 1 according to their statistics, their parameters. How close are you guys getting on your estimates?
I was only off.
Almost exactly 20 to 1?
I was only off by like 3.
By 3, 23 to 1 or something like that? You guys getting pretty close?
My ratio is 1.
And the idea is, and this is what was driving you guys nuts, I'm sure, it's your first exam question in class with rule, and I guarantee I have 30 different answers for that. But all of them were close to 20 to 1, and none of them were close to what? 400 to 1, which is what they would have been had they done it incorrectly. That's the difference between this and the balloon problem from your homework. In the balloon problem from your homework, they exaggerated the numbers by squaring. Because you think about it, it's the same kind of data. You've got linear data. You've got a number, 52, 2.6. The ratio of that to that is 20 to 1, just by division. Just like the ratio of those debt numbers in your homework problem was linear. You know, say one was 50, one was 25. One ratio is 2 to 1. It's pretty straightforward. But as soon as you make that the diameter of a circle, and then draw a circle around that, it's no longer a one-dimensional thing, it's a two-dimensional thing. And if you don't scale the diameter back, the circle will be 4 times as big. If the ratio is 2 to 1, the area of the corresponding circle will be 4 times as big as the area of the smaller circle. Does that make sense? This is why it's so important. You might think to yourself, if you're putting drain pipes in your house for like carrying water, and you go, just go from a 1-inch pipe to a 2-inch pipe, you get twice as much water. No, you'll get 4 times as much water. Because when you go, I mean, imagine the visual. Imagine the visual of going from a 1-inch pipe, which is a circle, to a 2-inch pipe. Okay? You could fit another 1-inch pipe right there, but you've also got all this other space that adds up to 2 more 1-inch pipes worth of area. If that makes it, hopefully that dropped, yeah. And that's the problem with using 2-dimensional areas to stand for 1-dimensional numbers. You can do it wrong and be misleading. Now there is one thing I don't like about the way National, looks like Kenny, doesn't it? There's one thing I don't like about the way National Geographic did, and I put a little footnote on there. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
They only had 1/3 of the chicken. The bottom third. I mean, the breast was gone, the head was gone. But I think that's kind of funny the way they did that, because it focused on the chicken legs, which are by and large the most comical part of a chicken. If you've watched chickens run around, watching their legs, these skinny, scrawny little, you know, kind of scaly velociraptor-like legs. I think they did a nice job using that kind of humor element of getting your attention by seeing the legs first, as opposed to seeing it entirely. Plus, it tucks into the corner very nicely. And then you have that beautiful curve of the other animals, the pigs and the camels and everything else that was tucked in there. So, thank you for dealing with the tiny font, but hopefully that cleared it up for you. So National Geographic did a pretty good job. Please.
Something that I noticed though.
Yes.
It's like 260 million cows or something like
Yeah, something like that.
What is that in pounds?
Oh, pounds of meat, like a pig versus a cow, or a camel versus a cow.
300 chickens.
That's true. 300 chickens becomes, right. That's interesting, and I wonder if, I don't know. I mean, you can imagine a chicken versus a cow. Chicken's mostly feathers. I mean, you pick up our chickens, they look like dents you pick up, and they compress down very nicely, actually. Not that I compress them very often. That's interesting. That's a good point. That's a good point. Because what would we'd have to invent a new unit for an animal, like a food unit. You know, you kill a cow, how many food units is that? You kill a chicken, how many food units is that? That's good.
Pork's the most efficient.
Pork's the most efficient because you can use the most of it percentage-wise?
Yep, and they reproduce the fastest and eat the less.
Okay, so that would have to be a measure of our food unit, wouldn't it? Turnaround time while making another pig from 0 to slaughter? I'm not trying to upset any vegetarians in the house. I'm just saying, this is statistics, right? This is numbers of animals. Jack has a good point. What if that's not necessarily, I mean, what if we go through 100 billion goldfish, like literally goldfish, not the crackers, but goldfish themselves. Okay, you know, how much food, I'm sorry, Megan, I upset you there.
No.
How much of a food unit is a goldfish compared to a cow? I mean, 1 goldfish does not equal 1 cow. This is good. That's good. That's good. I was just trying to see if they had mislabeled this. It looks like they did a pretty good job, but that's fantastic. Good argument. Good argument. Totally.
Awesome.
Yeah? Okay, so next question was the margin of error matching up the parameter. Anybody try the extra credit for that one?
Yeah, it puts them down.
Good! You can't hurt. Did you catch the extra credit? How it said extra, whatever it was, points, extra 1 or extra 2 points? That one question, you can always ignore those if you don't want to do them. They're just strictly FYI, you know, get a little bit more out of the course for that. One of those 5 numbers, there's no way they should have been able to know. and you know which one it is. We've talked about it over and over again in this class. One of those things you never actually know, which is why you do studies, to try to approximate them. So hopefully you get, I can't wait to read what you guys put. Next one after that was the bags of chips. Sorry, Natalie, about the unit. Thank you for catching it. I fixed it right away. 5-pound bag of potato chips. Hopefully that was pretty straightforward. Just put the numbers in the TI, go to one of our stats. Next one was the baby weights. You guys remember what to do, right?
Yeah.
Go halfway, 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 halfway. I set the chart up so it was all even. It should have been half pounds, or half kilograms. Was it kilograms? Half a kilogram. I took the raw data the way it was, yarded it from the study. The last one, this one you hated, right?
Yeah.
You hated the last one, didn't you? That's okay.
Not the German one?
The German one. Schießen. Ja. Sicher. So here's why you shouldn't hate it. Number one, if you want to see a really drawn-out explanation of it, the other class was freaking yesterday after the exam. And I walked them through a 25-minute explanation and recorded it. It'll be the last video in their playlist from yesterday. I won't do it again because it's already been done once. And after I was done, they were like, oh my God, that's all you had to do? Yes, that's all you had to do. It's actually tied back to a couple, 2 or 3 of your homework assignments over center and variation. You might remember, you might not. Nobody asked about them, so I was like, well, they must be okay with them. It was the one about if you take all the elements of a data set, I forget, it was one of the ones in your book. So I said, refer back to exercise blah, blah, blah on page blah, blah, blah. If you add 10 to all the elements of that data set, how will that affect the average? And it adds 10 to the average. That's the point of curving a test the incorrect way. If I just take 10 points and slap it on all your exam grades, it's going to make all of your grades go up 10, which is going to raise the average by 10. Done. The next homework assignment, I said refer back again to that same data set. If you add 10 points to all the exam grades, how does it affect the standard deviation? And the answer is it doesn't. It doesn't affect it at all. If you want to know why, more. There's 2 resources for you. Number 1, you can look at the video from yesterday's class, the last video I recorded that day. Number 2, I'm going to make a video for that one, either this afternoon or tomorrow, and post it for you guys. And number 3, let me introduce the rainy day coupon for exam number 1, which I'll remind you again on Monday about. You'll get that exam back on Monday. Tuesday, thanks Skylar. Tuesday. The rainy day coupon for exam number 1, if you haven't taken a look at it yet, it allows you to correct 10% of the points you lost on this exam, resubmit them on Wednesday, get the points back. So chances are, that last question is the one you hated the most. And some of you may have gotten it wrong, and then you go back and look at it again, and you'll get it right, and you get the points back as if you never got it wrong in the first place. But the point is to make you go back and look at it again, reassess. Now some of you sound like you got that one right, but you may have lost 5 points somewhere else, you can get those 5 points back. That make sense? That's what the rainy day coupons are for exams. You get one for each of the first two exams that we take. What's on your mind, Jay?
I think the scariest part was the point that the simplest questions were worth the most amount of points on that exam. They were? They were 5 points
Oh!
each. And they were worth the most, and they were the simplest answers.
The whole front page is worth 10. That's kind of like one question.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I treat this exam as 5 questions.
Gotcha.
I mean, because it is, really. It's the chicken question, it's the article question, it's the potato chip question, it's the baby weight question, and it's the German class question. So it's 5 10-point questions. I kind of think of it that way versus micromanaging each one. Because the more pieces I break it into, naturally I have to make them worth fewer points each because of that. Does that make sense? So, but I mean, if history is a guide, I mean, if you didn't like that last question, just get the points back on Monday or whatever, Tuesday. Yeah.
So with the chicken thing, now you to like count the squares and stuff.
Yes.
What's the best way to do that?
I don't know.
Actually, if I buy 11 square for the breast.
I don't know. I mean, you can like throw some triangles on there maybe and like approximate a
That's what I tried
triangle.
doing.
You could do that. I mean, I honestly would just kind of do like 10. I mean, you'd have to be really off in your estimate to get anywhere near 400 to 1. You see where I'm getting the number 400 from, just so you know? The correct ratio is 20 to 1. If they did it wrong, it would be 20 squared to 1 squared, which would be 400 to 1. You'd have to be completely off in your estimate to get anywhere near 400. So that's why I said just take your time, don't overthink this. You're going to get close. And it sounds like most of you did. Please, Jamie, right?
Yes.
Jamie, go.
I just have a question about like when we do one of our stat.
Yeah. We're going to do it again today.
Well, I'm not confused about how to get there, but like, is the mode on there?
No, it's not. That's the one thing that's not. You have to find that yourself.
I just want to make sure.
Son of a... No, that's the one thing you have to find yourself.
Okay.
So, cool?
Yep.
All right. All right. So there's that. You get it back on Tuesday. I'll send a progress report out probably before I see you guys on Tuesday. So you'll have your exam grade probably Monday at some point. So you'll know how you did. Put your minds at ease. I'll try to get these graded today and send the progress reports out tomorrow if I can. So that way you can put your mind at ease. Put your minds at ease right now. If history is a guide, you guys kick ass on this. And don't get hung up. The other class was so micromanaging their anger into that last question, not realizing that that's 5 points out of 50, not to mention the other 50 points you're going to turn in on Tuesday, which is the out of class part, right? Which you're all going to kick ass on. So even if you lost those 5 points, you're sitting around 95%, and you'll get those back. You see what I'm getting at here, friends? So it's so easy for us as human beings to focus on that negative, focus on that negative, focus on that negative. Realize you kicked ass in the remainder of the exam. Most likely. I mean, like I said, if history is a guide, anecdotal evidence is a guide, which I've been tracking for, almost 20 years now. Yeah? And you guys don't seem like outliers in that direction to me. You seem like outliers in the other direction to me, which is a good thing. Are you disagreeing with me, Harrison? No, you guys are outliers in the other direction, the good direction.
I think I like ace a quiz or something, I get it back, and it's just like...
This is not... Right. You're thinking like a math student, not a stat student. And that's one thing you guys probably have noticed. You have to stop second guessing yourselves. Your gut is the... Remember the variance question we did in class? You all knew the answer. The variability was higher going this way than it was going this way. You couldn't quite quantify it necessarily, but you knew what the right answer was. Don't second guess yourselves. You have good statistical intuition. This class is just designed to refine that. And we will, I promise you. I won't let you go until it's refined. And then we'll see it again at 2:44 and do some more. Yeah? Okay, so I'll get those back to you ASAP. ASAP. But for today, I want to wrap up. We might not go the entire time, that's totally fine. Take your data sheets out. I want to collect some data today. If anybody needs another data sheet, I have a few more up here. When I say data sheet, I mean the one that has the snowfall data, the totals on the back. Am I need one of these bad boys? Here we go, here we go. Come on, thank you. Yes, okay, Sal. Megan, take it over here. Thank you. Here's what I want you to do. Here's the data set I want to collect today. You see the United States map on the front page? My apologies to anybody from Alaska. The state is woefully underrepresented by area, but it fit better this way. I want you to use this map and figure out how many states you visited. And when I say visited, let's define, as Jack has pointed out correctly, the definition of a visit to a state. If you've driven through a state, count it as a visit. Because chances are, if you've driven through a state, you've stopped in it long enough, unless you're in like Rhode Island or Delaware, and still driving through them takes some time. If you flew into an airport, count it. But only if you actually flew into the airport and whatever you were in touched the ground. So flying over an airport doesn't count, but flying into an airport does. Good, Harrison?
About the four corners, because I stood there and did that whole thing.
Then you visited 4 states now, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Count that as a visit. Yeah, count that as a visit. You did the whole 4 corners. State you live in, count it. You visited it, obviously. Your first visit, right? Yeah, state you lived in. So just take some time and collect some data, and we'll put it all together here in a moment.